No jury duty, huh?
No, I was
You know?
there yesterday afternoon, and then they said, we don't need you. Come home.
This year?
Yeah. I was not sure how that was going to go.
It's fine. Call this meeting of the Galt City Council to order. The date is November 15th, 2016. The time is 10 o'clock. Roll, please.
Vice Mayor Payne. Here. Councilmember Hewitt. Here. Councilmember Campion.
Here.
Councilmember Powers.
Here.
Mayor Cruz.
Here. Would you all rise, please, for a silent prayer followed by the flag salute led by our treasurer.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we get the video statement, please.
This meeting of the Galt City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. Tonight's meeting will air Friday, November 18th at 9 a.m. and Saturday, November 19th at 9 a.m. It is being closed captioned and will be webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. The City Council meetings videos are also archived on the city's website at www.ci.galt.ca.us.
Thank you. It doesn't look like we have any presentations. Do we have any public comment?
Under Government Code Section 54954.3, members of the public may address the council on non-agenda items. Speakers may address council on any agenda item during consideration of the item. Speakers shall restrict their comments to issues that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council and limit comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. Please fill out a speaker sheet located on the table inside the entrances to the council chambers and forward the completed speaker sheet to the clerk.
And I do apologize. Were there any additions or deletions to the agenda? This is what happens when we have a morning meeting. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to information consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
A motion by Vice Mayor Payne and a second by Councilmember Powers. We don't have any further discussion. Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Payne.
Aye.
Councilmember Hewitt.
Aye.
Councilmember Campion.
Aye.
Councilmember Powers. Aye. Mayor Cruz.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay. Moving on to Treasurer's Report for the period ending September 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before you have the Treasurer's Report for September 2016, the first page just provides a summary of where our money is invested. Just for the public's notification, that we have, of course, a checking account. We have 41% of our funds in the State of California LAIF account, and some CDs, both local and non-local CDs, and lastly, some callable government agencies that accounts for about 33%. Starting this month for September, on the very last page, Council, I included a new page I'm going to include every report, and that's an investment transaction summary for the say for the previous 3 months. So if you're looking at my report, page 6, it just shows the investment transactions that I made during the quarter. The biggest thing in this quarter was on September the 16th. We had a $3 million certificate of deposit that matured at Farmers and Merchants Bank. It was a 2-year CD that matured. It was originally at a rate of 0.65. So what I did there was I split that $3 million into 2 equal parts and added it to existing CDs at Farmers and Merchants. So now there are 2 separate CDs at Farmers and Merchants, each for $2,500,000. One matures May of 18 at 0.95, and the other one matures May of 2019 at 1.2%. So we were able to get a higher percentage, allow us to earn a little bit more in interest, and that was the, I guess, the highlight of the quarter as far as the treasurer's office goes. So I asked the city council if they could accept the treasurer's report into, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those at this time.
Questions from council?
Move to accept.
Thank you.
I have a motion by Councilmember Campion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Hewer. Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Payne. Aye. Councilmember Hewer. Aye. Councilmember Campion.
Aye.
Councilmember Powers. Aye. Mayor Cruz.
Aye, unanimous, so accepted.
Thank you very much.
Okay, moving on to Community Development Department. Introduction of an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 1504 of the Galt Municipal Code relating to the building and construction, and adopting of the 2016 editions of the California Building Standards Code.
Good morning. The city's building official, Armin Lobo, is here, and he'll present the next two items.
Good morning, Mayor and council members, city staff. I come to you this morning with our ordinance to update the building codes. For this code cycle, as you may know, the state of California updates its codes on a 3-year cycle following the model codes which occur, and that process has already occurred for the next 2019 California code cycle as well. And so with what we have presented, we have essentially streamlined our ordinance, cleaning up some language inversions, languages and words that were associated with the ordinance, but we don't have and have not added anything really new to what we had before. It's really just an update on the major code body and cycle.
Yeah, it's just a brief introduction of the ordinance, so if you have any questions on that, staff will be available to answer any
I
questions
have a
you might.
question.
Okay.
What is the rapid shutdown of photovoltaic systems in our building?
So the new code cycle is requiring that any solar systems installed on a roof, if there is a problem with it, it will shut down within a matter of seconds, so that there's no opportunity for electrical fire or a shock hazard that may occur. And so this is a new element in the code, in the electrical code, that went into effect this year.
Okay.
Pretty streamlined system. It's really just a little box, really, that is like a shunt trip, very quick.
I had no idea what it was, so
Yeah, just a safety measure.
thank you.
And I didn't find in here, but I know that the city has developed over the years a number of unique, I guess, regulations as it relates to sheds and placement of sheds. Are those affected by these modifications?
No, in fact, there was language in our old code in the building part that kind of related to setbacks, and we removed those and basically rely on the development code to address sheds.
Okay.
So setbacks and separation from other buildings is addressed in the development code.
Okay.
So it was removed specifically from this. That's a good catch. We had it in the past. Included was a separation between buildings, but because it's addressed in the development code, we removed it from the building code.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions?
I was curious about, in here it said the building could be, 12 feet above the property height of the person next to you or something? Can you kind of clarify?
So the language with relation to the patio cover or associated accessory structure limits the height to 12 feet from the adjacent grade, which is dirt grade next to the structure.
Okay, it's not like the neighbors.
No, that's correct.
All right.
Was that height reduced, though, in the development code?
There are a number of height limits in the development code, and I don't recall if it was the same or decreased or increased. But if you do look at the development code, it does have a variety of height limits on a variety of structures. Sheds, for example, and then other accessory structures will have height limits too. And I just don't recall if it went up or down in the development code update of earlier this year.
Yeah. I think that there, maybe it was 12, and I think it, for some reason, I believe we lowered it, but I don't recall the specific height.
You know, we do plan on updating the development code. You know, since it was updated last, you know, there's been a couple bugs, so we do plan on coming back probably next year sometime with just some cleanup items. And I think some setbacks and some height limits will be part of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any further questions from council? Okay, this is to introduce and waive the full reading by substitution of title only. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Vice Mayor Payne and a second by Councilmember Campion. Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Powers?
Aye.
Mayor Cruz?
Aye. Unanimous. Okay. Moving on to the introduction of an ordinance repealing and replacing Chapter 15.28 of the Galt Municipal Code, Fire Code, and adopting a 2016 edition of the California Fire Code.
So essentially the same concept based on triennial code update by the state. We're updating the fire code to the 2016 California Fire Code. There was a lot of language that was removed from our previous ordinance. Essentially that was because it was redundant and already in the code. It was not a change. I also have Mr. Robert Combs, the interim fire marshal with CSD Fire, available to answer any of your questions.
Very good. Council, any questions? Okay, this is to introduce and waive the full reading by substitution of title only. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, a motion by Councilmember Hewer and a second by Councilmember Powers. If we have no further discussion, call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Payne? Aye. Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Powers?
Aye.
Mayor Cruz?
Aye. Unanimous vote. Moving on to joint exercise of powers agreement creating the South Sacramento Conservation Agency. Mr. Arias.
Good morning, Mayor and council members, and I don't think I can get tired of saying that. I love that good morning portion. The item you have before you is the South Sacramento Habitat Conservation Plan Joint Powers Agreement, which is creating the South Sacramento Conservation Agency. The South Sacramento Habitat Conservation Plan is a regional effort that will provide development and infrastructure projects with a pre-approved mitigation bank for mostly biology impacts. This is becoming more important for Galt as appropriate mitigation is becoming more difficult for development projects to locate. So participating in this habitat conservation plan will basically make it easier for development projects to mitigate impacts. They do that by simply paying a fee rather than locating, securing the mitigation banks on their own. The City Council approved Galt's participation plan, they approved our participation in this plan back in 2009, so this has been ongoing for quite some time. Other agencies participating in the plan include Sacramento County and the City of Rancho Cordova. Sacramento County has taken the lead on this project, and their board of supervisors approved their participation in the Conservation Agency in September of this year. Rancho Cordova City Council approved their participation in the Conservation Agreement in October of this year as well. Without stealing too much of their thunder, Bill Zebron and Richard Rodmacher from Sac County will provide a brief presentation on the Habitat Conservation Plan and the Conservation Agency. After they are finished, staff will be here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, thanks very much, Chris. Mayor Cruz, members of the council, pleasure to be here this morning. I'm Bill Zebron. I'm a consulting project manager to the local plan entities participating in this plan. again, as Chris said, Rich Rodmacher from Sacramento County is with me as well to answer any questions. I have a brief overview presentation on the plan. I'm going to try to keep it very brief, not get into the details too much, but then talk a little bit about the JPA and why it is that we want to move forward at this point to set up the agency to run the program. I'll start out with a little bit of a reminder about why we're doing this. Chris highlighted that a little bit, provide an overview of the key features of the plan, and then talk specifically about the benefits to Galt, your participation, and then what's to come next, the outreach process, listing in the Federal Register, and the like, and then finally the JPA formation. So why the HCP? As has been mentioned, it's become increasingly difficult to mitigate for the loss of habitat, endangered species, wetlands, and the like. It's also extremely costly to go through it on a project-by-project basis, inefficient, time-consuming, etc. At the same time, it's harder and harder to find the properties that are needed to mitigate for that. So what the HCP offers is a much more streamlined process, a coordinated effort, where we try to address the needs of each of the species and the permit requirements together as a whole. And it does result in more effective conservation for the species. The goal here is to, rather than look at one permit at a time, is to integrate them together. And I might just start by saying the local plan partners, Chris had mentioned, are made up of, in addition to the City of Galt, the City of Rancho Cordova, the County of Sacramento, the Southeast Connector JPA, and then the Sacramento Regional Sanitation District. Those are the partners that have been working together for several years to prepare the plan. What our proposed approach is to address obtaining permits, multiple permits, kind of almost simultaneously from the federal government and the state for under the Endangered Species Act, both state and federal, the Clean Water Act, the filling of wetlands through the Army Corps of Engineers, and then various other related permits that are related to those two major permit vehicles. The plan area covers roughly 340,000 acres from roughly the Highway 50 on the north, south of the county border with San Joaquin, east El Dorado County and El Dorado, and then west to the Sacramento River. This map shows a couple of different areas. The area in gray is basically where the proposed development is proposed to occur, roughly corresponding with the county's urban service boundary, and then, of course, your overall sphere of influence. We call that the urban development area. The area outside of that is outside of the urban development area where most of the mitigation would occur. So the benefits are, as has been mentioned, it's going to relieve you of the burden of locating these properties. Developers who come in locating properties ahead of time through the payment of a fee, that burden is relieved, and the developer, as long as they're complying with the plan, will be able to receive a permit from you over the counter for such activity. It will contribute to a regional habitat solution, and then it will importantly reduce the permit processing time that occurs, which can take up to years for a larger scale development to obtain these permits. Just a brief overview of the components of the plan. We will be issued a permit for 50 years to actually do this. So we've projected development out for that long period of time rather than doing it again project by project. Over almost 34,000 acres of impact and a preserve system of over 36,000 acres. At the same time, there's an aquatic resources program that addresses the 404 process, the Clean Water Act process. There's an EIS, EIR, there's an in-lieu fee program, an ordinance, etc., an implementing agreement, and then local implementation by the JPA. So you can see why it's taken as long as it has. But we're very pleased to say that we're at the point where all of these plans are in completion. We are at the point of finishing the EIS, the draft EIS, EIR right now, and then hope to have the documents ready to submit to the federal government to go into the Federal Register as well as into the state clearinghouse for a public review process by January of 2017. We would then propose to conduct a 90-day public review with workshops and here in front of your council and other areas in the region, and then move on to responding to comments in those documents through the summer of next year, and then hopefully be at a stage where by the end of next year, by fall of roughly a year from now, we'd be able to have the plans back to you for action, for your adoption. So I've mentioned the public outreach. I'll just say there's going to be a lot of workshops and a lot of individual outreach to stakeholders and fact sheets and the like. We have a website, hearings, etc. That's right around the corner. So that's just a quick snapshot of the plan and the plan process. A few words on the JPA itself. Why are we doing this now? Typically it happens at the end of the process where you set the agency up or whatever entity to run the program. We have found by surveying other such plans and JPAs that oftentimes it leads to inefficiencies in actually beginning to implement. So we have some opportunities to acquire land early from willing landowners by forming this JPA, that is to say, for conservation purposes. This is all through conservation easements, roughly about 90% of it. Landowners willing to entertain a kind of a longer-term payment stream, that sort of thing. That will give us a great advantage in getting our permits from the agency at the end of the day when the plans are approved by having some things in place. The function of the JPA will be to manage that preserve system, not to issue permits over the counter. That's the other beauty of this. That will occur at your local planning desk. The permits will be issued there, but then the function of the JPA is really to focus on the preserves. And then a final slide here about how the JPA will be formed. There will be a governing board, and the governing board is made up of the 3 land use entities, yourselves, Rancho, Cordova, and the county. And the reason for that is that you have the power to adopt mitigation fees. That's our primary vehicle for mitigation here. The other entities, the JPA connector, for instance, does not have that authority. However, they will receive the ability to issue those permits over the counter for their particular project. The proposal initially is to use the existing staff that's been running the program to start staffing the JPA. I would act as an interim director until the plan is approved. Rich would be the program manager, if you will. And all of that money is in the budget, already approved through a funding agreement through the end of this fiscal year. There would be another year prior to when the next fiscal year then we would need to finish the plans, get the permits, and then get it up and running. There would need to be a funding commitment to make that happen, and I think there's a proposal for what that amount would be from the city of Galt, not to exceed. After that, it will be fully funded through the mitigation fees, so no money out of pocket from the local agencies. So we encourage your participation, your approval this morning. As Chris mentioned, the other entities have already adopted, and we're kind of ready to kind of get it going. So really pleased to be here again and happy to answer any questions you may have. A little photo of some of the habitat that might be saved hopefully out here.
I was on the council when this first came to the city, and it has been a long time. It was a long time when it came to council.
Right.
So I guess I'm asking, because it has taken a long time, what is our hope that you're really going to get us to the point that you are describing tonight?
Well, I think it's, I've been involved for a little over 3 years. I was retained in, 2013, I guess. We've gone through roughly 3 drafts of each of the documents in that time period. I will say this, I think from the time that I got engaged to right now, there is a remarkable change in the cooperation and the energy that's behind this from the agencies that are the ones that will issue the permits. That, to me, says a lot about how far we've come. So we had a meeting, and I can tell you the Fish and Wildlife Service, if they were here today, they would stand up and say, we're ready to go. The Corps of Engineers, the same thing. The state agencies, California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And I think that is the difference in the past at various times, and I don't know all the history. Rich understands the history very well, but been a lot of starts and stops, but there's tremendous momentum. And I think by virtue of the fact that the other local entities have already acted, gives us a tremendous amount of I mean, all the HCP is finished, the Aquatic Resources Program is finished, the ordinance is complete, and these aren't things that you won't be acting on until the end, as I mentioned. It's just the EIS that has a couple of chapters to kind of wrap up. So I'm very confident, and I think we're ready to go. The highest levels of those organizations, too, the regional directors of Fish and Game, Fish and Wildlife Service, and the Corps of Engineers are all very supportive as we stand today.
The other question I had was about how it's going to be funded by mitigation fees.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel confident that those are going to be practical fees that can be used?
Yes, yes.
And why?
We do. Well, we actually have a fee schedule, and we could, if you're interested, we could show you that.
Okay.
I don't have it here right now, but basically, the economic analysis was prepared by a firm that's done a lot of these plans in other parts of the region, as well as in other parts of the state, EPS. They base their fee structure on not just their knowledge of what those fees typically tend to be, but also by looking at comps for sales, working with local brokers. And they have this economic development model where we can take it and use it to look at a project and how that might have, what that may mean on a cost basis. We've actually tested that with major developers in the region, and we've gotten very favorable responses. One of the fees, and this may sound like, it is a lot, but it may sound like a lot, but compared to what you have to do on the open market today, it's actually very competitive. Is for the wetland fee. If you fill a vernal pool, you have to go out and find other properties in a mitigation bank. That can run up to $300,000 or more per acre. Our fee structure would bring it in at around $200,000. So that has been a tremendous benefit. We're very confident because we've been tested on this, and actually over the last year working very hard on that particular topic.
I'm encouraged to hear what you had to say about that, because going through all of this and putting it together, but then if it's not practical where it will be used, it would be a waste of your time and our money.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sounds though like you are
We're actually,
covering it.
as an aside, we have a workshop with the Northern California BIA this afternoon, and they've been working very closely with us. We've been in front of them 4 or 5 times, and so this is to give them a preview of the plan prior to when it comes out. So, and several of those developers, there are, I should also say, not to get too much into the weeds, but there are 5 major large-scale developers that are located, 3 in Sacramento County, 2 in Rancho Cordova. We've been working with all of them very closely, and two in particular, to actually help them kind of proceed with an individual permit process while this process also proceeds, and then they would on-ramp over to our process. But they've seen all our fees, they've run it through their economic models. They feel very comfortable about where we are.
It's good to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
So there'll be a fee audit every 3 years,
Yes.
and it'll go before the JPA board?
Yes.
Okay. The JPA board, I assume, was made up based on the amount of land that's involved?
Yeah,
Is that
pretty much.
the size of the community?
I think it's mentioned it's 3, 2, and
Yeah, we have 1 seat.
right. But on the other hand, the county's been funding the program, probably 80% of the program for several years. Rancho has been contributing for that same period of time. So, and I think and we looked at this, roughly about 2% of the total take or the loss of habitat through the development is in the city of Galt. So and it was talked about a lot. That was an interesting set of discussions that we had over the last couple of years. But.
So, into the future, So would other communities or other cities be able to join this JPA in the future if in fact this is successful?
Right.
I mean, I just,
It's a good question.
because of us getting into the competition with other,
Sure.
you know.
Well, as you may remember, Elk Grove was a member at one point. They decided to step back after their sphere, they pulled back on their sphere of influence. It would require amendments.
Okay.
You know, it's not that it's not possible, but it's not straightforward. It's not simple. And also major amendments to the plan. It would require a major amendment to the plan, which has a whole process that needs to be gone through, as well as, of course, amendment to the operating the JPA agreement. So, but it is feasible. It is possible. It's just not a simple process.
Would those costs be bared by the entity that wanted to join? I mean, is that how you would perceive that?
We would have to
You'd have to look at it?
negotiate that, I am sure, at the time. I am sure there would be a very close look at that issue.
So currently, you're just envisioning it will be
Yes.
county and Rancho and...
Right. On the governing board, there will be a few other entities that will have the permit, like the JPA connector.
Mhm.
They'll be able to have the benefits of issuing their own permits for the construction of their line as it occurs, but they won't sit on the board. They would be part of the staff that would, help run the program.
So changing fee structures, would they come back to the council, or would they just be approved by the
Actually, it would have
JPA
to be
board?
both. It would have to be
Would be
both.
both?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Because you will have to adopt the fee structure as well as the councils and board will have to adopt, as well as the JPA board.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kind of following that same line, and I'm just reaching back when I was working on this with Rich. This
Right.
goes back 10, 15 years.
Mhm.
One of the concerns was there's a finite amount of mitigation available.
Right.
So to start adding additional agencies becomes problematic. And I think that's why it's important, for Galt to participate now, because there is mitigation available that would accommodate, the projected development for our community. I don't know why other people dropped out, but I'm glad to see that we are where we are at today. I was particularly surprised and pleased to see that you're at the point where you're ready to publish in the register. Because that signals that the agencies have looked at it, and if you're truly that close, that's been a change in the mindset over the last 10 years, a significant change.
Right.
Because it was very, very difficult to work with some of those agencies years ago.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, so good points. In fact, the Fish and Wildlife Service, this is the trend for them in the future. Not just here in Sacramento County, but Placer County, Yolo County, other parts of the region, Northern California in general. That's where they're headed, and it's a policy.
I think it has, like you said, with the developers that you've been working with, I mean, those same benefits, I think, will trickle down in Galt, and it just makes it seamless, and it is, there's a fee structure, you pay your fee, and you're mitigated. You don't have to wait a year to go out and do a biological assessment on a vernal pool or try and find, Swinson Hawk land. It's done. So I think it's a tremendous benefit. And if the costs are comparable to what would otherwise it be on the open market, I think you're better off because of the timing. I mean, you've saved a tremendous amount of time.
We have found that is really what resonates with the private landowner and the developers, is the time factor.
Yes. They've got a lot of carry, and it's costing them for every day that they can't build a house.
Exactly, exactly.
I can't hardly believe it's to be approved, because I know, Rich, you've been on this for probably close to 20 years.
He's going to get a Lifetime Achievement Award.
This is about 20 years
No,
old.
and Rich has been fantastic. I couldn't have done this, without his support.
Any further questions or comments from council? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Which one, give me a second, okay. We have a a motion by Councilmember Campion and a second by Vice Mayor Payne. We have no further discussion. Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Yes.
Councilmember Powers? Aye. Mayor Cruz?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the Police Department. Chief Sockman. Dispatch console upgrade and Project 25 compliance transition.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm here to talk about the dispatch console upgrades and the P25 compliance transition. We're asking that council adopt a resolution approving the lease agreement between Motorola Solutions and the purchase of 3 dispatch consoles. The lease agreement between Motorola Solutions and the City of Galt for the 3 dispatch consoles is a 3-year term. It's a grand total of $256,686. With 3 annual payments of $85,562. We're asking that council approve the city manager to execute the lease agreement between Motorola Solutions and the City of Galt with forms approved by the city attorney. It's been an ongoing process, is multi-year in order for us to have interoperability within the county. It started many years ago where we put in a tower here for repeaters so the police department can communicate with the rest of the county. We upgraded all of our radios, the portable radio systems. This is just the last phase of this process. Last year, Motorola approached us with a proposal which everyone in Sacramento County opposed because of the price. So we sent it back to Motorola, and we in Sacramento County did not know that they were going to come back with a proposal so soon, which explains why the City of Galt and all the other agencies in Sacramento County didn't have this as part of our budget plan. Again, we didn't know they were going to come back. What they came back with was a proposal with a 30% reduction in the total costs for this upgrade. So that put all the agencies in the exact same spot that I'm here to talk to you about today is how we're going to fund this and make this so. The Motorola proposal, this is a one-time shot. We have until November 30th to sign an agreement, or we will not have that 30% discount for the consoles. Galt, the City of Galt, just a little history. The City of Galt is part of the Sacramento Regional Radio Communication System Committee. That's all the agencies, so we can have interoperability and be able to communicate with one another, and in the event of a major disaster or emergency, we can operate off each other's radio frequencies. Our frequencies within the county of Sacramento covers about 1,000 square miles. And our radio system will function within that 1,000 square miles. The plan, our current system is an older dispatch system and is in need of upgrade. And we're hoping that everybody in Sacramento County will have their new radio dispatch systems by July of 17. So with that, we're hoping that we'll be able to move forward. Of course, if council elects not to move forward, there are some things that will occur. The couple things: we'll still be able to use our radio systems. We just won't be able to communicate with the rest of the county once they upgrade their new system. And the other thing is that by the end of 2017, our contract with Motorola will run out, and they will no longer service our current systems. It's expected that for the first payment, we're going to use carryover monies from this fiscal year to be able to fund that first payment, and then the subsequent payments we'll roll into our budget for fiscal year 18-19 and 19-20. The first payment's not due until November of 17. But we got some amazing news this morning. Citrus Heights, on behalf of everybody in Sacramento County, put in for a Homeland Security grant. And I got an email this morning from Homeland Security said that the grant has been approved, and so we will get $50,000 the city of Galt to pay for our first payment. We should be getting that money, I would imagine, this year to roll into the first payment. So, very exciting news, and so that concludes everything that I wanted to talk about this morning. A couple of thank yous, though, because this was a long, we got notification in August, and we've been working on this thing hard to make sure that we have all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted to make sure that this was going to be successful. So I just wanted to thank Emily Boyd and her crew at Finance and IT. We spent how many hours going over this, and she was a tremendous help. So that concludes my presentation, and I'm open for any questions that you may have.
Council?
I wanted to ask, maybe I should ask Emily, do you feel confident that this system is a good one? And then the other thing, is it going to require training for the dispatchers and the employees?
So this system is the same one that's United States wide. It's not unique to the Sacramento County. So we are confident that Motorola, who really is the only player in the game for communication, that it's a good system. The other thing is there is going to be some training. The transition should be pretty smooth. We have 3 consoles, the way the contract's written, they're going to come in and replace one at a time, so it won't affect our communication in any way. Just be a little bit of an inconvenience while they're doing the work for our dispatchers, but and they'll receive training, which is part of the proposal also.
Okay, thank you.
Any further?
If I look at the schedule for implementation, it's about 8 months, is that correct?
Well, that's countywide. What they're saying
That's
is they would
county.
like to make sure that everything is in place by July of 17.
Okay.
But the work's going to start by the end of the year.
Okay.
Maybe not for Galt. What has happened, it's really interesting, is everybody's jockeying for position. They all said, well, we want to be first, and some have said, we'd like to be last. So when they asked me when I would like to go, because the first spot's already been taken, I said, we'll go second. That would be fine. I don't think it really matters in the whole scheme of things for us, but that is pretty interesting how everybody has their own opinion on when they want the work to be done.
All the bugs out by the last one, is that it?
Maybe, maybe.
That's all. Thank
I
you.
did have one question for you. This is an 800 megahertz system, correct?
Correct.
What are we doing with the old UHF, the 450 megahertz system? Are we just abandoning it, or are we using it as a backup?
No, we're not using it backup. The gold system that we have, the gold elite system that we have right now would be obsolete and it would no longer function.
Thank you. Any further? Okay, we're looking for a motion to adopt a resolution approving a lease agreement with Motorola Solutions for the purchase of 3 police dispatch consoles.
So moved?
I have a motion by Councilmember Hewitt. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Powers. We don't have any further discussion?
Thank you to the city of Citrus Heights
Absolutely.
for going forward with a grant.
Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Powers? Mayor Cruz?
Aye, 5-0. Looks like we're getting a new radio system. Moving on to Public Works. Approval of the installation of historic markers delineating the original Lincoln Highway travel route. Mr. Winkler.
Mr. Mayor and council members, good morning. That does sound good to me, too. We are bringing back an item that earlier in the year we talked about conceptually and had a presentation from the group advocating for remembering and marking the historic highway route of the original Lincoln Highway through Galt. And we're bringing back recommendation. Mark's going to give you a quick overview.
Mayor, council, red, white, and blue. You know, I was going to put this on every, I was going to have it as a backdrop on everything because that's the color, and I don't know why I like those colors. Anyway, so we're here. We were given direction a few months ago to look into the Lincoln Highway Association, review what they're doing, what they're trying to do across the country. This highway was dedicated over 100 years ago. I found more information about Lincoln Highway that I went out and bought a book and downloaded a video. Thank you, Joel. And I'm hooked on it now. And so it even started before the Lincoln Monument was dedicated. It's pretty old. It was known as the the main street across America, and boy, did it come to Galt. So what's going on is that cities north of us and counties south of us are starting to market. They're starting to market throughout California, where the original alignment was. And when we look at the original alignment, the yellow, not quite where it went through Galt. The northern part is where 99 is right now. It's buried under the highway there. And down here, there was a little jog along Church Street. Let's see. Church Street right in here. It went up to across a part of Chipola that doesn't exist now, and then comes back in here on alignment. My hand is real shaky. I've only used these lasers on the end of rifles. I'm kidding. And then it comes back in here at Lincoln Highway down here. So it's a little offset on the south. And then, so I met with the president of the California chapter, Joel Windmiller, who I'll introduce in a second. But we went out there, we looked at some locations where these signs could be seen quite easily. And we kind of worked out 5 locations there, and it's going to be on both sides of the streets. And that's what we're proposing here. And I'll introduce Joel right now to say a few words on it.
Thank you. Well, I'm back again. Thank you, Council, Mayor. Had an interesting little trip around town doing the location sightings, and we had no discrepancy on location placement of the signs. So I want to thank the Mayor and the Public Works Department and the City Manager for all your help on getting signs proposed to be placed on the alignment. As President of the chapter, I have one great duty, is to present certificates of appreciation for contributions to preserve the Lincoln Highway. I have one for the Mayor, for our City Manager, for Stephen in Public Works, and for Mark. And I'd just like to present these to you. You can put them on your desk, file them in your file cabinet, whatever works. But I just want to say thank you very much for all the help. I wish all cities were this easy to try to put signs up. Plus the city gets one, additional sign. This can go in anyone's office except for Eugene's. He has had his time. So it can go in the Mayor or the Public Works Department. This one eventually can go out on the street if one of them gets damaged or stolen. I hope not. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you. So we're recommending that you adopt a resolution authorizing staff to proceed with the installation of 10 donated signs and 1 spare, and that they go at the locations previously noted on the slide. And we would welcome any questions you might have and recommend approval.
Council.
I have a question. Why are we just going south of Cimarron? Why aren't we going a little farther out of the city?
Well, because
doesn't it go all the way up to our Twin Cities and
what I understand, what their Lincoln Highway Association, they only want to put signs on what the original route was. And the original route north of Cimarron is under Highway 99.
Okay.
So to put them out there on the highway.
Okay. And dig it up and, yeah.
And it's almost under 99 all the way up into Elk Grove. You know, it kind of pops out a couple of places, but it's pretty much under the highway up there.
Well, that explains why when they went through town, they went through farther up the Twin Cities because they couldn't go underneath the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense to me now. Thank you.
So when this came before us prior, so the cost was about $900. I said at that time that I would, use that I would have my discretionary dollars brought back to fund this project. So if we, instead of taking it out of existing budgets, I would move that, I would still, the discretionary dollars are brought back to me at the next meeting, I would still authorize those to be used. I've not used them for anything else. I made that offer at the last, when this was brought up for discussion last time. So,
Very much appreciated. I actually have several businesses who are willing also to step up and help out with that, getting donations for it.
Oh, good.
I do have one question for Joel, though. You can correct whether this is right or wrong. I like to dispel rumors. Someone told me that the old steel bridge that went across the creek into Galt, that was the closing portion of the Lincoln Highway. Was that correct?
Yes,
So that's actually a little extra.
that was one of the closing points of the original highway.
Very nice. Thank you.
I would just comment too that I saw on the public channel, TV channel, they did a whole film on the Lincoln Highway that was amazing.
That one featured several members of the California chapter.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're all aware, but for the public, there's a very nice plaque near Lincoln and A Street that commemorates and has some of the original pavement that went through town.
Would it be possible to put something on the city's website talking about this and maybe give a little history? Because I don't know much, if anything, about the highway, and I think it would just be, beneficial for the community because they're going to see these new signs, and if they could be directed to the website and provide a little information, that'd be great.
I think it's an excellent idea.
Maybe you can borrow Mark's book.
Let Mark write it up.
Yeah.
There you go.
Council, I do want you to know that I'm usually up here asking for hundreds of thousands to millions. And I tried to get to that point, and it just didn't. Sorry about that.
I believe
Oh, come on.
Did you have a comment?
No, I just said you can put a link to our National Association site, which has numerous
Oh, that's nice.
for each
That's so easy.
chapter. And the California chapter has a fantastic newsletter,
Okay.
which is going to have an article about the Galt signage.
Well, that'd be great.
Awesome.
It'd be nice to have a link, with a little history. I think that'd be.
Maybe we could publish something in the newsletter, the Galt newsletter, and
That'd be a good idea.
it goes out.
Well, if we don't have any further discussion, we're looking to adopt a resolution authorizing staff to install the historic marker signs.
So moved?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Hewer and a second by Councilmember Campion. Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Payne?
Aye.
Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Powers? Aye. Mayor Cruz?
Aye. You have a unanimous vote.
Thank you, Council.
Get some signs out there.
Just one other thing going along with Councilmember Hewer's thoughts. Maybe we could just have a little ceremony or something when we're putting one up for
Good idea.
kind of nice.
Okay. Moving on to item number 7 with Public Works, approval of sewer capacity reservation program for residential lots. Mr. Winkler.
Mr. Mayor and council members, good morning. We're just emphasizing that, a refreshing change of pace. So we were before you several weeks ago, and you approved introducing and waiving the reading of a new ordinance. There were some questions regarding how things would work and what other agencies were doing and how we arrived at some of the recommendations. We've attempted to answer those with our staff report, and we're bringing back essentially the same resolution, which would be the program piece, and recommending that you would approve that and actually adopt the ordinance today. We're certainly welcome to discuss at any length you desire some of our responses here and answer any questions you might have.
Council?
No?
And I went back, and Steve, thanks for providing that additional information on the language of the development agreement for Liberty Ranch. But I do have a question on Section 6 of the resolution. It says sewer capacity shall be limited to a maximum of 50 single-family residential lots per approved subdivision map phase or village. So I guess these are recorded.
Right. The intent in drafting this language was often they might have a tentative map that covers a large subdivision.
Right.
Then when they bring in final maps, they'll bring it in 50 or 100 lot phases because just working with the market conditions. So our thought would be with each final map, that we'd limit that to a reservation no more than 50 would be our recommendation.
I think for purposes of getting the resolution approved, I think 50 is okay at this time. But I think we may want to leave open the opportunity if, you know, if someone has a fairly large single-phase map, they may want to look at, you know, more than 50. Then that's just a possibility. I don't know that it'll ever happen, but I think thinking about it just the way it is now is fine. So I'm satisfied.
Okay. Any further? Okay, we're looking at number 1, adopting a resolution establishing a program for the reservation of sewer capacity for residential lots prior to the issuance of a building permit. And then number 2, we're going to be adopting the ordinance number 2016-10, repealing and replacing section 14.10.060 of the Galt Municipal Code regarding sewer connection fees.
Move both recommendations.
Second?
I have a motion by motion by Councilmember Campion, second by Vice Mayor Payne. Do we have any further discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Vice Mayor Payne? Aye. Councilmember Hewer?
Aye.
Councilmember Campion?
Aye.
Councilmember Powers? Aye. Mayor Cruz?
Aye, unanimous. Do we have any communication?
No.
None. Clerk's report
I'm good tonight, thank you, or today.
this morning.
Today.
He's throwing you too. We'll go on to staff. Mr. Arias?
Nothing further, thank you.
Mr. Winkler?
Thank you.
Ms. Boyd? Ms. Islos? You've been very quiet over Mr. Solis. Anything? Good morning. Chief Stockman?
Good morning, and I have nothing this morning, thanks.
Mr. Palazzo?
Good morning, and we have a few of us going to Stockton, and we're looking at the college board meeting later on this afternoon, 2:30, and then again at 5 o'clock. So just reminder to the public that that's where staff and council will be at.
Very good. Mr. Rudolph? We'll just keep it moving. Councilmember Campion?
Nothing.
Councilmember Powers?
Yes, I did want to let everybody know that December 8th this year is the senior luncheon. That's the good news, but the bad news is it's the same day as the Chamber of Commerce luncheon. So pick and choose and let me know if you'd like to serve at ours. And
What time?
from 11:30 to 2. If you guys could, if whoever's coming, and let me know, please, so I can have my little list of
I'll do that.
Okay.
I'll be in.
Thank you.
Same.
Okay. And where was I going with this? Oh, it's from 11:30 to 2, but to come about quarter after 11, to come and get your little hats and your little aprons and everything. So Emily, I'll fill you in on how that works. And I'm not even sure that, were you here last year, Gene?
I was not.
And neither Chief, so I'll let you know. We serve over about 250 seniors. It's the highlight of the holiday season for most of them because they have nowhere else to go. Usually city staff and dignitaries serve them, and some of the people that sponsor it. And it's just a really great occasion. We give away a lot of good food, and you serve it to them, and it just tickles them pink that everybody comes down and hangs out with them. So it's December 8th, and we'd love to have any of you who came. I think last year we had the whole city of Galt. It was great.
I almost had too many.
Yeah. But so that's it.
And it was a lot of fun.
Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, since we won't be back till after that. And
Okay. Councilmember here?
This brings me to my next question. Armando, so we're not meeting again prior to lighting of the night, or we don't have another meeting scheduled? Oh, we don't. Can you give us an update?
Correct. I'm sorry, I did not bring that up. Saturday, December 3rd, Lighting of the Night event will be starting at 4 p.m. with performances by City Tots, McCaffrey Middle School, the elementary school, Caffrey Middle School, and the LDS Church. That will be going till 6 o'clock. At 6:10, we'll have the tree lighting on C and Civic, and then the Lighting of the Night Parade on its due official route at 6:30, leaving from the market grounds.
Okay,
And so we'll get updates or something.
I will send you all. Donna I'll go through Donna and she'll contact.
So will we be driving our own vehicles?
Traditionally, we've had
Are we gonna do the
a
same?
float for
Float?
council members.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, Vice Mayor Payne?
Oh, just glad to be here today. I thought I might be serving on jury duty, but they let me go, so, glad to be here at my last official meeting.
Awesome. Just wanted to follow up on the Lincoln Highway. Thank you very much for all the work you've done, Mark and Joel. You guys have done a beautiful job for us, and we're looking forward to seeing it up in the city. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
Yeah, they're gonna do it along with it.
Oh, what time?
Oh, the chamber's still.